Welcome to the fourth session. As usual, I will recap what we did in the last session, and then we will invite Rakhi to chant this 11 through 15, and then we'll move on to the next 5 verses. So last session 3, we discussed verse 11, which talks about Ma Kuru Dhana Jana Yauvana Garvam, the MP3, that based on which we have so much confidence that we don't need this spiritual practice, this Bhaja Govindam. What was those MP3? Manpower, muscle power, and money power. Versus the Acharya has established that none of these things can rely on it when push comes to shove. When there is a major obstacle in your life, these three powers, manpower, muscle power, and money power, cannot help you. Then verse 12, we discussed about the relentless march of time. Dinya minyu sayam prataha. Morning is turning into evening and winter is turning into spring, year after year, day after day. But yet we have not decided when to dedicate time towards spiritual practice. We have kept it towards a post-retirement entertainment. When your whole life is over, what are you going to do with that spiritual knowledge? The sooner you start, the better it is. Then verse 13, we talked about Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta. Why are you worrying? One of the reasons why we don't dedicate time for spiritual growth or connecting with that Govindam principle or God principle, which is the power that controls our intellect and mind and sense organ, is because we worry about our relationships and responsibilities. And that verse asks us that when you are not indispensable, when you have no control over anything, what is going to happen the next moment? Why are you wasting your time thinking that if you did not take care of your relationships and the responsibilities, the world will come to an end? The world will go on just as beautifully as before, whether you are there or not there. So the sooner you make time to develop your spiritual practices so that you can connect with that ultimate power that takes care of everything from the galaxies to your body, to your relationship and responsibilities. Then we talked about in verse 14, Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha, because the Acharya suggested that the best way to develop our spiritual practices is to find satsang, the right kind of environment and people that have already traversed the path of in search or quest of the truth. But we have to beware of fake gurus and those who look like these sages and saints by their external experience, whether they have matted hair or shaven hair or wearing orange robes. So they pointed out one criteria, which was the person who is supposed to guide you must have two things. One is must be content within himself and must have equanimity under all circumstances. Only then he or she can teach you that one. Then the Acharya discussed that without satsang, it is impossible to handle our mind. We have been talking about this, that Govinda principle, that the mind has only one rule. It wants to be happy. If the intellect cannot give it the possibility of a higher happiness, then it will be pulled by the senses to go out into the world and then get entangled and trapped. So then, yes, Bhagavad Gita starts with the first word of Bhagavad Gita is dharma, and the last word of Bhagavad Gita is mama. Between these two words, mama dharma, my dharma, what is the right thing to do, is 700 shlokas talking to us about the art of human making, man making, a man as in human. So without satsang, it is very difficult to do that, because if you don't have the guidance of people who have traversed this path and who have mastered their mind, who have connected with that Govinda principle, you will make 3 mistakes. And we discussed the first mistake of people, how they handle their mind, truant mind, wild mind. First, we discussed is one of the unintelligent ways of handling our mind is indulgence. Whatever the mind and senses want, we say yes, 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 helplessly doing. The previous verse talked about how do we, if you don't have satsang and you don't know how to intelligently master your mind, the first way you deal with it is indulgence. This one is talking about suppression, forcibly torturing the body with willpower, but without mastering the mind. So the description given here is, sitting in front of the fire at night, not getting any comfort. In the morning also, the sun behind you. At night, you will not take a comfortable bed or a comfortable comforter. You're shivering and you're clutching bringing your thighs close to your body. You're shivering. What is this image telling us? And how begging food in your own hand, you don't even have a bowl to get a food, and sleeping under a tree. So what is that image the acharya is trying to create here? That it is the exact opposite of what was described in the last verse. Indulge whatever your mind and senses say, do everything. This is opposite. Whatever your mind and senses want, don't give it anything. Forcibly, with willpower, you suppress yourself. Do not allow yourself to enjoy life at all. But what happens is, this is like it will create a pressure cooker like environment, like a compressed spring. As soon as your willpower loses its force, and it will, surely it will, the whole life will go wire. We know people who go on very strict dietary regimes, and when there is a cheat day, they eat more than they would have ever eaten in the last week or last month. This is what happens when you forcibly suppress the mind and sense organs. These are people who are called surface sannyasis. Oh, I don't need food, I don't need clothes, I don't need to travel, I don't need a big house. But outside it looks like you are vairagya, you are giving up, but inside the mind is churning. It's like the image that of a swan going on the pond. On the top it looks very peaceful, below the surface of the water furiously pedaling. That is what our mind is doing. So what happens is that the thing to understand, they have not understood, it is not controlling your mind forcibly, because if you close your eyes also, the mind is still active. If you stop your mouth from eating, your mind is dreaming of these desserts, dreaming of things. So that is not an intelligent way to control the mind either. This first one was indulging your mind. Second one is what? Suppressing your mind. Neither of these two are intelligent ways of handling the mind. What we do need, and we mentioned this in the last session, is sama, dama, titiksha, uparati, shraddha, samadhan. Some of you may be hearing these words for the first time, but the more you hear, the more you research, you'll understand. Sama is mind control. If you want to control your senses, the first control you have to bring is to your mind. Closing your sense organs, getting information into your system. Like when we clean a drawer or a house, do we keep on buying things when we are cleaning our closet? We stop buying until we clean our closet, right? Similarly, in your mental space, sama is mind control, dhamma is sensory control, then titiksha is forbearance, equanimity in the dualities of life, joys and suffering, and praise and humiliation. Both, you should not lose your equanimity. Then comes uparati, slowly detaching from the worlds, from the rituals and social expectations. Slowly, upa is near, rati is love, going closer to that higher possibility of peace. And then comes shraddha. Even though you don't experience it in the beginning, you must believe that so many others before me have experienced this, that if I stick with this program, I can also merge with that supreme power, which is called the Govinda. Go is sensory, Vinda is power over the senses. How? Through your intellect. When you control your intellect, intellect will control the mind will control the senses, and thereby you will control your experience of your external world. So that one, finally, it's called samadhan. You become one with the power. God realization is the same as self-realization. So unless you have that mental understanding, just mechanically controlling the enjoyment of the world will not stop it from you. In fact, it will come back virulently with a vengeance. Just like indulgence is not the right way to handle the mind, neither is suppression, forcible suppression. So then we also talked about some of the asuras from Devi Mahatmya, because these asuras are our shadow self. These are the ones that are controlling, that are running our life. First to become aware of them, then to know how to get rid of them, because we cannot escape our demons. Demons being our fear, guilt, shame, resentment. So we can only slay them. Slay is what? Walk through our fear. And the reason, and the demons, there are all 6 pairs mentioned in Devi Mahatmya, is Madhu Kaitava, Raktabija Dhumra Lochana, Shumbha Nishubha. Raktabija we talked about, Madhu Kaitava, first pair. Madhu is cravings, sweetness. We want to go towards everything that we like. Kaitava is aversion, moving about away from things we don't like. How to manage these 2 tendencies? These are demons inside us. Then comes Rakta Bija Dhumra Lochana. Rakta Bija is every desire you fulfill, thousands will come in its place. Dhumra Lochana is, Dhumra is smoky, Lochana is vision. So you think that by indulging yourself, people say, oh, the one life only, this is the time. If at a childhood, if we don't do this, a youth, if we don't do this, in the height of corporate career, if you don't do this, when will you do it? That is the Dhumra Lochana, not having the proper clear vision. And finally, Shumbha Nishubha. Shumbha Nishubha are our ego. And it is like they reflect that I am better than everybody else, or I am a victim and life is unjust. So these are the demons. You have to become aware and work through it before you start suppressing your desires and cutting down the desires. Now we'll go to the verse 17. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam Vrata Paripalayam Athava Danam Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena Bhajati Namuktim Janma Satena Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Let's break up the words. Kurute goes to pilgrimage. Ganga Sagara Gamanam, to where the Ganga meets the ocean. Vrata Paripalam, observes the vows. Athava, or Danam, Kurute, distributes gifts away. Jnana Vihina, devoid of the experience of truth. Sarvamatena, according to all schools of thought. Muktim, release. Na, not. Bhajati, he gains. Janma Satena, even in 100 lives. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. The English translation is, one may in pilgrimage go to where the Ganges meets the ocean, called the Ganga Sagara, or observe vows, or distribute gifts in charity. If he is devoid of first-hand experience of truth, jnanam, according to all schools of thought, he gains no release even in 100 lives. See Govinda. So the third category is, distraction. First is indulgence, second is suppression, third is distraction. We have not established connection with that power, but what we are doing is we're distracting ourselves. Suddenly there is some calamity, health problem, career problem, relationship problem, and we try to bribe that power. We try to distract ourselves. If we quickly do a puja, if we quickly do a mantra, if we do some sadhana, if we give away lots of money and make a negotiation deal with God, somehow everything will just fall into place and life will go on as before. So when you cannot control the tyranny of your mind, you end up trying to escape the mind. Somehow you think that if I do this, it'll get better, do that, it'll get better, trying to appease the mind, appease that fear. But when the distraction finishes, you do a puja, you feel good. Within a month, 2 months, the problem comes back. You go give charity to a charitable organization. Within 2 years, the problem comes back. You keep doing some chanting after month. Yes, you feel good, peaceful for some time. Doesn't solve all your problems. People still go through divorce. People still have disease. People still lose their money. So this is a temporary, when we are negotiating and transacting with that power, instead of trying to understand and connect with that power. Like imagine if we transacted with our parents, saying that if you give me this, I will do that. If you give me that, I will. Temporarily it will work. It is not a long-term solution. So bhaja, the methods with which you connect, and this pilgrimage, charity, all these things are methods to connect with it, but they are just the means. They are not the goal by himself. We make it a goal. We think that a puja will fix it. We think that the pilgrimage will fix it. We think that the charity will fix it. No, it will only give you temporary respite. So basically what these three verses are saying, that first, it's just like parenting. Modern parents, young parents will relate to this well. You pamper the kid. Whatever the kid wants, you give. You know how that kid will turn out. Or you deny everything. You punish the kid for everything. They're not perfect. You keep punishing them. That will also not work out. Third is, instead of spending time and teaching the kid values and morals and ethics, you use the TV as a babysitter. So these are examples. The Acharya is saying how, if you don't have the company satsang who will teach you the difference between nitya anitya, that which is permanent, that which is impermanent, artha anartha, that which is worth going for, that which is not worth going for. If you don't understand this at an intellectual level, if you don't have that jnana, that knowledge, then this indulgence, suppression, distraction will not help, only temporary relief. So mind control mastery, or getting to that Govinda state, is a two-step process. First, we have to the purification of the mind, and then we make it ready to receive the knowledge. Without purifying it, we cannot receive that knowledge. And that it is not optional, either or. It is sequential, and it has to come in that sequence. First, you purify the mind, then you can receive the knowledge. So basically, it is the Acharya said, Jnana Vihina Sarva Matena. All schools agree that if you don't have the ultimate knowledge of that God principle, then you will not be able to get to that Govinda state. Go is in complete, the Indriyas, your sense organs. Vinda is complete internal control. You cannot get there. Because if you only go via the path of bhakti, most likely, this is the problem of modern religion. My God is better than your God. My religion is better than your religion. So only by bhakti, if you go, then this is the problem you'll run into. Whereas in jnana, you will understand the path of jnana, the knowledge of this ultimate Govinda principle, God principle. You will realize that there is only one consciousness. Ekam satyam vipra bahuta vadanti. There is only one truth. The wise talk about it in different ways. All the religions, all the saints, all the sages, different ages, different times, different cultures will talk about it differently. But ultimately, there is only one God principle. And that purification, that bhaja part of it, can happen through karma yoga, can happen through bhakti yoga, kundalini yoga, hatha yoga, kriya yoga, any number. But it is not the end, it is the means to an end. Even in the Vedas, there are two major divisions of Vedas. We have, later I will talk about the four divisions. There is a karma kanda and there is a jnana kanda. Karma kanda are all the rituals and yajnas and mantras and all those things. They're not an end by itself. It ends with the Upanishads, which is the Jnana Kanda. These karmas and rituals and chantings and yajnas will purify us and remind us, no matter what you do, complete power, complete happiness, infinite, permanent happiness cannot come from the world of objects, from the material world made out of 5 elements. It can alone come from the knowledge. That's why the Vedas end with Upanishads, Jnana Kanda. And very often people ask this question, if we be good and do good, is that enough? It is enough to start. It is not enough to end there. Because if you do good, be good, even to those people, calamities and challenges will come. And if you have not established connection with that one power that pervades everything and orchestrates something, you are going to lose hope and you're going to go, you'll be lost. You will be lost. And that, at that point, if you try to connect, it'll be too late. It's never too late, because we have more than one lifetime, but you will not be immediately be able to take benefit of that power, which you have not established a connection with. So that Govinda principle, which is the self-realization of that one unchanging consciousness behind all changing material world, that is the Govinda principle. That is the knowledge of that. Until you have that, you will never be free of the ups and downs of life. And all these purificatory processes, all the bhaja will help you get there, but it is not the end in and of itself. And the only way you can get, not only way, one major way from the jnana perspective, 3-step process. There is a 9-step process what we'll talk about in the bhaja part, but Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasram. Shravanam is understanding and study of the scriptures, understanding it. Mananam is contemplation, going back and churning in your mind. Nididhyasana is practice what you have understood. Unless these three is done, very difficult to get to that bhaja part. So one thing that you will take away from these three verses is that at the end of it, there is a 4-step process to connect with this, to get to that state of God realization and self-realization. First, when we have no knowledge of the scriptures, no satsang, spending time with the people who have learned, understood, and connected and experienced that ultimate reality, our view is world alone exists. There is no God. I don't see it. I don't smell it. I can't hear it. Where is the God? So world alone exists. Then we get a few knocks from life and we meet some. That is why in the previous sessions we discussed, God has created a perfectly imperfect world. Sooner or later we will get, some challenges which is not here to punish us. It cracks us because the crack is the place where the light can enter us. Because we are lost, long gone, that God principle will not give up on you. So then what happens is, we realize that world also exists. God also exists, because you heard somewhere, you went to some satsang, you met some self-realized people who told you, no, there is a God. You may not have experienced it, but believe you me, it exists. So second stage, world also exists, God also exists, but God is just a means to satisfy your desires in the world. That is what we are doing, that transaction with the God, negotiation with the God. God is a means to worldly happiness. Then you continue with your practice, you continue doing the spiritual practices, Bhaja Govindam, you continue to spend more time with satsang, and then your awareness grows to the next level where you flip it. God exists, world also exists, but now the world is a means to get to the God principle. First, it was the only world exists. Then world exists, God exists. God is a means to get worldly happiness. Now, you go one step further. World is a means towards God. We will use all the objects, everything in the world, to somehow use the objects to transcend the object. Use the mind, senses to transcend the senses. Use them to transcend the mind. We talked about the rocket. We talked about the pole vaulter, right? Using that to jump, but at some point you have to let it go. Whether it is your senses, whether it is your mind, whether it is your practices, only then you can get to the other side. You cannot take your mind to body and mind to the other side where you're merging with that one principle. That is why, if you remember in Ramayana, what's his name? Angad. He could not cross that ocean because he wanted to go to the other side with his body. Angad is what? With my body, mind-body complex. I want to meet God with my mind-body complex. You cannot do that. Hanumanji was not identified with his body. His mind was completely under his control. He can drop the mind like that, drop the body like that. Angad didn't, so he could not do that jump. He needed that setu, that bridge, to go to the other side. Hanumanji didn't want it. That's the difference between a mastered mind and somebody who is still steeped in body consciousness. You cannot get to that other side of understanding, where have I lost? My mind body has been separated from that Rama principle, Ananda principle. So final step. First is world alone exists. Second is world and God exist, but God is a means to worldly pleasure. Third is God and world exist. World is a means to God realization. Finally, you will reach the state that there God alone is. And that God is me. That Govinda is me, inside me. Behind my senses is my mind. Behind my mind is my intellect. Behind my intellect is that Govinda. So this is a 4-step process. Now, since these three means doesn't help us to master the mind, indulgence, suppression, and distraction, what does help us? The next 2 verses, the Acharya will tell us what will help us master our mind. And the word, concept is sublimation, which is in Sanskrit called pratipaksha bhavana, meaning substituting it. Modern psychology calls it cognitive reframing. So there are 4 steps. You identify that you are having negative feelings. You acknowledge it. You're not denial. You're not suppressing it. You're not indulging it. You're not distracting yourself. You acknowledge it. Then you choose to get rid of it. It will not go on its own. And how do you get rid of it? By sublimating it, substituting it with positive thoughts. So, where is my book? Let's read those two.
Sorry, just a second. This before acknowledge, what did you say? You said four things, and then was it just before acknowledge? You said something, and I missed it.
Acknowledge,
Identify.
choose to let it go, and then substitute it. That is called sublimation. It's not indulging, it is not suppressing, it is not distracting, it's sublimating.
Or cognitive reframing is what you said.
Yes. So now I'll go to the next one, the 18, verse 18. Suramandita tarumula nivasa saya bhutalamajinam vasa sarva parigraha bhoga tyagaha kasya sukham na karoti viraga bhaja govindam Govindam bhaja mudamate. So the English, the break up the words. Sura mandita taru mula nivasa. Dwelling, sheltering in temples, under some trees. Saya, bed, sleeping. Bhutala, on the naked ground. Ajinam, wearing skin, deers. Vasa, cloth. Sarva parigraha, of the possession. Bhoga, of thirst to enjoy. Tyaga, renouncing. Kasya, whose. Sukha, happiness. Na, not. Karoti, brings. Viraga, dispassion. Bhaja, seek. Govinda. So the English translation is sheltering in temples, under some trees, sleeping on the naked ground, wearing a deer skin, and thus renouncing all idea of possession and thirst to enjoy. To whom will not dispassion, vairagya, bring happiness? Bhaja Govindam. So basically, if you notice, the imagery is not that much different from Agrevani, Prushtevanu. Some people will come and say, yeah, but the same thing. He's sleeping in a temple, he's on the floor, he doesn't have anything, he has a deer skin. So what is the different thing here? The difference is that it is, I'll give you the example first, a story of a Zen monk. Once somebody went and asked the Zen monk, what were you doing before you became a Zen monk? He said, I was chopping wood and fetching water. So they asked him again, what do you do? What did you do? How did you change? After you became a Zen monk, what did you do? He said, I continued to chop wood and fetch water. So what changed? The external activities will be the same, but the internal understanding, that detachment. Remember, we keep talking about possessing and or enjoying and trying to possess and be identified with it. So I'll give you an example. For instance, what is the difference between enjoying something and in the present moment, but when it doesn't suit you, dropping it, versus clinging, identifying? We have a house, let's say, or a car. We have a car and we sell that car. Until we sell that car, anything that happens to the car, my car, we get so upset. One scratch here, somebody vomits there, it went through a mud patch, and we clean it, shine it. We don't clean our body so much, but we will be polishing the car. But the minute you sell the car, the person who bought the car from you, he'll walk out of your driveway and he'll have a crash. You will not feel bad. Why? Because you're not identified with that car anymore. You are not attached to that car anymore. Car is the same. Everything is the same. So this thing you have to bring to every aspect of your life, whether it is your relationships, whether it is your car, whether it is your house, whether it is your job, you will enjoy it and put your 100% into it. But knowing that it is not me and I am not attached to it. And when it begins to give me pain and suffering, I should be able to detach from it. So effortlessly being peaceful, because the image here is somebody who's peacefully sleeping, doesn't need a big expensive house and palace and bed and bedding, can sleep anywhere. Who can sleep so peacefully when the mind is under control? It's not tormenting you with nightmares and overthinking. People take hours to sleep because they don't know how to control the mind. So whether it's in a temple, under a tree, wearing a deer skin, you will, because of societal expectation, we cannot walk around naked. So anything, basic thing to cover your body, babe, you can just sleep anywhere. You can be happy anywhere. You don't need the external world to be happy. And a lot of people attack this thing saying, oh, deer skin, the rishis are not supposed to kill this, that. No, in the forest, there are plenty of animals who are dying. You can use their skin and use it. You're not killing a deer for its skin. It's available a plenty in the forest. So mind can detach from the world only if we have vairagya. We remember there is the mind. On the one side is the senses. On the other side is the intellect. The intellect has to convince the mind there is a higher possibility of love, of happiness. Where if it's not able to do that, and the reason it won't be able to do that is lack of knowledge, then the mind gets pulled by the senses, and like wild horses, you are out in the world. And this only thing that can happen is through vairagya, detachment. Detachment is not giving up. Detachment is enjoying this house, knowing it will be taken, enjoying a relationship, knowing that it will finish at some point. Either they will die or they will leave my life. Enjoying food, knowing that if it causes disease, I can drop it. So that detachment, because most people say, oh, this is very difficult. I don't want to live a life like that. The Acharya is not saying you have to. What he's saying is ultimately this is what is going to give you that power over the mind. Just think about it. If you want a balloon to fly, how will it happen? First of all, you will have to cut all the strings that are holding it down. And second of all, you have to fill it with a light gas like helium. So all the attachments that are holding us down from going to that higher level of happiness, we have to slowly learn to detach. It won't happen overnight. And that helium is knowledge, higher knowledge that will take you step by step towards a different reality. So basically what this verse is saying, minimum dependence on the external world. Remember the very beginning of the course, we talked about sukha and shanti. Two things we want, sukha and shanti. Sukha is basically bodily pleasures, material pleasures. Shanti is mental pleasures. And both of these are inversely related. The more bodily pleasures, sukha, you crave, the less peace you will have. And it is up to you where you want to find that balance. But if you want complete control over your external world, the shanti has to be more than the sukha, comfort. The more you get entangled in bodily pleasures, the more problem, because mind is attached to the body. Body is dependent on external factors, and the external factors are undependable, impermanent. So the mind is constantly insecure, survival living, certainty, predictability, and comfort. Unless you're willing to let go of that, you may choose not to. That is your choice. The Acharya is not saying you have to, but if you want that peace, if you want that mind control, learn to live. Even in a big palace, people think that Vairagya means you have to live in a hut. No, from our Shastra, the example given is Lord Janaka, Sita's father. The king, he was a Raja Rishi, huge palace, lots of people, lots of power, but he could drop it at a, moment's notice. If you can do that, you can live in big palaces, you can have a harem, you can do whatever. I mean, today's world harem is not allowed, but what I'm saying is you can enjoy and do whatever you want if you know to drop it when it's necessary. So it's asking us to be independently happy. And we think the external world gives us joy. This is a time that the Acharya is telling us. Suppose, give this example. You are looking, some person who's never seen the ocean and suddenly comes upon, let's say, Mexico or beautiful beach and just looks at that azure Hawaiian ocean and beach and just so joyful. And you're thinking, this beach, this scenery is giving me the joy. Suddenly, somebody comes and tells you a dear loved one died in an accident, a young person in you. Suddenly, what happens? You get into a negative spiral. That same ocean, same scenery doesn't have the power to give you joy. So it never had the power to give you joy. Your mind alone knows how to find joy from there. So thinking that that ocean gives me joy, this relationship gives me joy, this money gives me joy. You may have $1 billion, but if you think that the government is after you and going to put you in solitary confinement, suddenly that money will lose its ability to give you joy. So external things cannot give you permanent joy is what this one is telling. So how to get this other higher possibility of joy? We, throughout other verses, they'll teach us have to continuously make the intellect strong so it can pull the mind in this direction when the senses are pulling the mind in that direction. It always boils down to Vishayananda, Brahmananda. Vishaya is objects of the world. Ananda, joy, deriving joy from the objects or people of the world. And Brahmananda is Brahman, that supreme consciousness. You are bliss itself. And connecting and understanding that I am that bliss. So that, a comparison comes from being in satsang, difference between Vishayananda and Brahmananda. So understanding that you are not happy because of these people and relationships and money, but in spite of it, whether you have the people or not, whether you have the money or not, you have the power to be happy. You must learn how to tap into that power. And the way to do it is an attitude of to give up that what is calling parigraha, accumulation, yoga kshema. The whole life is the problem is yoga kshema. Yoga is want. Shema is once you have accumulated it, you are afraid of losing it. So this, the only way to get over that yoga kshema is to that parigraha, that attitude of accumulation, hoarding, you have to let go. Enjoy everything. But if you have a strong intellect and it says it's time to drop, must be able to drop it. And bhoga tyaga, that is the indulgence factor, that craving, running towards cravings, which is learning the difference between need and greed. And this also brings to mind one of the names of Krishna, which is Madhusudana. Why Madhusudana? Madhu is what? Cravings, things that give us joy. Sudana is that which destroys it. So remember that my question when I was younger was, why not Kaitava Sudana? Because Kaitava is aversion. It's very easy to give up things that you don't like, but very difficult to give up things that you love. Madhu is that honey, sticky quality, very difficult to give up. So Madhusudana is when you're connected with that power, you will be able to give up the things that you're addicted to, whatever that addiction may be. Addiction is something you love, craving. It's much easier to walk away from things you don't like. Even that is a problem because nakula, you cannot swing between craving and aversion. You have to land in the middle. That is the nakula factor. So that's it. Now verse number 19 is Yogarato va bhogarato va sangarato va sangavihina yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandateva Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Let's break out the verse. Yogarata, let one who revels in yoga, va, or bhogarata, let one who revels in bhoga, va, or sangarata, let one seek enjoyment in company, va, or sangavihina, let one who revels in solitude away from the crowd. Yasya, for whom, brahmani, in Brahman, ramate, revels, sports, chitta, the mind, nandati, he enjoys, nandatyeva, only he enjoys. Bhaja, seek, Govinda. So the English translation is, let one revel in yoga or let one revel in bhoga. Let one seek enjoyment in company or revel in solitude away from the crowd. He whose mind revels in Brahman, he alone, verily he alone enjoys. Seek Govinda, seek Govinda. So here the Acharya is telling us that you can enjoy everything, but that you must have this distinction in your mind that the external world is temporary, finite, is going to go away sooner or later. The only thing that is permanent and powerful and will never leave me is my consciousness. So while being connected to that knowledge, understanding that knowledge, you entangle, engage, and enjoy the world. Bhoga is enjoyment. Yoga is, tyaga, to give up everything and austerities and all. Whether you are indulging or whether you are withdrawing from society, whether you are in the midst of all your family and friends, or whether you are a hermit in solitude, it doesn't matter. The actual act doesn't matter. The attitude, the knowledge matters. The knowledge is, I, the Brahman, am choosing to enjoy this. My consciousness is using my mind and my body and my senses to experience this. And when I have had enough, I will close shop and go back. Once we know that. But many neophytes or beginners in spirituality fall into a trap here. This tyaga, tyaga, tyaga. They think they're first going to run away from their family, their wives, their husbands, their children, their work, and they will find joy. The Acharya says, no, no. Unless, this vairagya, dispassion, is something that is to be known inside, not shown outside. And what is to be shown outside depends on your varna ashrama. Varna is your natural, your nature, and ashrama is which stage in your life are you? Are you a student? Are you a householder? Are you a retiree? Are you a sannyasi? Depending on that. So if you have children, if you have a spouse, you have to show them love. You have to take care of them. You have to be responsible for them. You've created this family. You have to be responsible. But with the knowledge, any of these things can go. Either they will walk away, or they will die, or this job will be taken away. It can happen. But if you're prepared ahead of time, then it will not bother you. Because something that, suppose, like I said, a person who first gets his, a child who was blind and after a surgery gets back his sight, and he doesn't know that sun will set every day. He may get upset. But those who have seen every evening the sun set, the next morning it will come back. Winter comes, spring will come back. We don't get upset when the winter comes. We don't get upset when the evening comes. Why? Because we know that is the nature, the rhythm, law of rhythm. So that is why enjoying everything, knowing that sooner or later it will go. So vairagya, this passion, is something which is to be known inside, not shown outside. Oh, I'm vairagya. I don't buy clothes. I don't travel. I don't eat. But inside, desperately wanting all those things because your mind is not trained. That is what was said, agrevanu prushtevanu. You are showing to the world fake sadhu, surface sadhu, but inside, if you are like that, then you should donate your entire life saving to charity. But why you're not able to do that? You're not using the money, hoarding the money. So that's not the solution. Enjoy, give, but with the knowledge that it will go. And when it goes, it's fine. Because it's not the end of my life and it's not the end of me. My consciousness is permanent. Everything else is impermanent. So that code understanding in relationships, the difference between codependent, independent, and interdependent. Codependence, without this person, I cannot live. I'll go mad. Independent is I don't need anybody in the world. That's not true. In a world, we are here. Our experience is through other people, through our families, through our colleagues, through our friends, community. So you can't say I don't need anybody because we do need it. We know it. It's a show when we say we don't need anybody. Oh, I don't need anybody. I'm the only one doing for others. Interdependent is doing your duties and receiving when other people are doing their duties, receiving that. So that is one thing you have to know. And only that person can enjoy life. Nandati, nandati, nandati eva. Will continue to enjoy, whether the ocean is there or not, money is there or not, job is there or not, position is there or not, lover is there or not, doesn't matter. Yoga rate, bhoga rate. When you're enjoying, you're enjoying. When you don't have anything, also enjoying. Sangha rate, with people you're enjoying. Sangha vina, without people also you're enjoying, because you know the source is within, source is not there outside. Last verse for today, verse 20. Bhagavad Gita kinchita dhita Ganga jalala kanika pita Sakrita piyena murari samarcha Kriyate tasya yamane charcha Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. The breakdown of the phrases. Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, Kinchita, even a little, Adhita has studied. Ganga Jalalava Kanika, a drop of Ganges water, Pita has sipped. Sakrada Api, at least once. Yena, by whom? Murari Samarcha, worship of the Lord Murari. Murari. Murasya Ari, the enemy of Mura, a Rakshasa. Kriyate is done, Tasya, to him. Yamena, with Yama, the lord of death. Na, never. Charcha, quarrel, discussion. Bhaja, seek, Govinda. The English translation is, to one who has studied the Bhagavad Gita even a little, who has sipped at least a drop of Ganges water, who has worshipped at least once Lord Murari, there is no discussion, quarrel with Yama, the Lord of Death. Seek Govinda, seek Govinda. So this one, most people take literally, and that's where the problem happens. This verse, the Acharya is trying to tell us the sadhana, how to have self-realization and thus God realization. And here it is, this Acharya is emphasizing self-effort, because many of us with half-baked a knowledge of karma, we say, oh, or destiny, whatever is meant to be will be, we don't have to do anything. No, the Acharya is saying you have to continuously make that effort, no matter how small. In Japanese culture, they call it kaizen, the smallest possible effort. One verse of Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses are given. Little drop of Ganga. Here we'll understand what is Ganga, because most people just put Ganga water on the head and they say, oh, I have done all the sins, today I'm cleared of the sin. That's not the meaning of Ganga. Or Murari Samarcha, praying to Lord Vishnu, understanding what that prayer means. This verse, this Acharya is saying, addressing 3 levels of sadhana. Because we are made up of 3 levels. We are made up of the body, the mind, and the intellect. He's starting with the intellect, because intellect is the one that drives everything. Bhagavad Gita is an intellectual understanding, a philosophy of life, the impermanent world and the permanent consciousness. So at the intellectual level, we have to make a little effort. Now, Ganga is not just a river, not just a holy river. It is first of all, it's water. It speaks to our emotions, our mind. And Bhagavad Gita, most of us, can make this mistake, become armchair intellectuals. Just read every disposition, every explanation there is on Bhagavad Gita and lecture, but never practice ever once, any one verse. But when we say dip in the Ganges, when you go to the Ganges, what do you see? In Himalayas, where it has started, all the ashramas, all the satsang, the best kind of satsang, all the sages, saints are practicing there what they have read in Bhagavad Gita. So you will come into their association, into their orbit, their energy, and through osmosis, you will see how those people sitting naked and freezing below zero, but they're not cold because their mind is controlling their body. They have not eaten for months. They're not withering. And the miraculous siddhis they get. So you will realize the power of all these spirit by going to that Ganges. Also, Ganga, if you know the story, how she came, she was brought to earth by Bhagiratha, the grandson of King Sagara, because his children had upset, I think, Lord Kapila or somebody, and were cursed that they will go to hell. And that King Sagara wanted his children to be released and go to heaven, obviously. So Ganga, when he prayed and prayed and prayed, Bhagiratha, and Ganga agreed to come. But she said, if I come down like that, an earth won't be able to receive me. It will tear the earth asunder. So you have to find somebody who can receive the power of my descent. So then who will do it? Who alone has the power? Lord Shiva. So he goes and prays to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva says, yes, I will receive. If she comes, I am sitting in meditation. She can fall on my matted locks. So Ganga comes and falls on Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, being Lord Shiva, is lost in his meditation. He is not releasing Ganga. So Bhagirathi goes and talks to Lord Shiva and begs and prays and says, please, I need Ganga to go and release my Pitras, my ancestors who have to be released. So finally Lord Shiva allows Ganga to flow out of his matted locks and goes into when it comes out, there is a rishi called Janvi. He drinks the Ganga and he sits there quietly. Again Bhagirathi goes and says, please, please release this Ganga. She has to release my ancestors. So it comes out of Rishi Janvi's ears. Finally it flows and over the place where his ancestors are dead, and it releases them. Now this symbology you must understand. Ganga represents the highest knowledge that most people who have not trained their mind will not understand. You need somebody like Lord Shiva, who's called the Adi Yogi. He is the one who taught the Saptarishis. So that knowledge must be received when the supreme consciousness is, in that Brahman form, which is no qualities, no form, no name. We don't know anything. It's like deep sleep. But when it comes out, it has to come through the form of an idol, which we associate with Lord Shiva, the symbolism. Today, I cannot go into the deep symbolism. Shivaratri will talk about it. So first, it has to be received by Ishwara. But that's not enough. Ishwara now has to give it to the rishis. So the rishis now, it came out of the ear. So you will hear it from this Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhidhyasanam. So the ultimate knowledge first comes down to Ishwara. From Ishwara, it will come to Adi Yogi, it will come to Saptarishis. From the rishis, now it will spread in the Gangetic plane or the earth. So that is the meaning of getting a dip of Ganga, not just literally drinking water, but going and understanding at an emotional level, mental level. You will see the practice of that knowledge that you get in Bhagavad Gita. And finally, what? At the body level, Murari is what? Is a name of Vishnu. Again, every name is very, very important. It's just not a name. Mura is a demon who was very egoic, like most demons. Specifically egoic. Mura means ego in Sanskrit. Ari means enemy, the enemy of ego. So when you're praying to that God, because as long as we have ideas, then we need an idol, an ideal. So praying to that God. In the next verse, we will say how to pray. But in this verse is saying, pray to that God to decimate and dissolve and destroy your ego. So at the intellectual level, there's Bhagavad Gita. At the mental, emotional level, there is Ganga. Go to the Ganga and see all those people practicing what they've read in Bhagavad Gita. And at the body level, first you start with Murti Puja, which is your Ishta Devata. If you're a Hindu and if you're a Shaivite or Vaishnavite or a Devi follower, different Devatas, forms, Murtis you'll have. But that is the problem. If you get stuck there, my God is better than your God. Or you could be Allah, it could be Jesus. We get stuck there. But here it says, the Acharya says, first you start with Ishta Devata. What is you are comfortable with, you are conditioned to, then move on to the Ashtamurti Puja. Ashtamurti is, Ashta is eightfold. And what is eightfold in this world? Nature. Prakriti has, the pure consciousness is conditioned 8 times, and it is express and manifest itself as Prakriti, as world. So first you start with a Murti, but then you start worshipping everything in the world. And we talked about that last time. Rishi Yagya, we talked about Devata Yagya, Pitru Yagya, Manusha Yagya, Bhuta Yagya. That eightfold Prakriti you have to learn to pray. And then why he's saying very little, because in the beginning we'll get overwhelmed. We cannot do it. But if you look at any of the mantras, any of the stutis in the Vedic tradition, it all ends with a phala struti, meaning there is a candy, there's a something to make you come towards it. Oh, if you read this once, you will get money. If you read this twice, you will get name and fame. If you read this thrice, you will destroy your enemies. On the one hand, we are saying that the knowledge, ultimate knowledge, takes care of it. Why are we worried about this? Because the rishis knew that on their own, people will not come towards spiritual practices unless you give them something, an incentive. And I'll give you an example, small example before we end this, is that a child, in the beginning, when you tell the child, read, it's good for you, does the child read? No. doesn't study for the exams. What do you say? If you read for study for 1 hour, I'll let you watch the TV for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour or half an hour. If you do this, then I will give you this candy. So what happens when the child is forced to do it? At some point, the child starts to enjoy the subject, whatever subject is appeals to him, and he realizes that he doesn't need the incentive anymore. Similarly, with spirituality, first our rishis say, if you do this mantra, you will get this. If you do that stuti, you will get this. But after a while, we realize we are not doing the mantra or the Bhaja Govindam to get something. It is not what we get, it is who we become in the process. We become Govinda. Slowly we are retreating one kosha at a time, one sheath at a time. We are able to control our senses, then able to control our mind, then able to control our intellect, and then we merge with that Govinda principle. So that is why I start very little, because it's very intense information. That's what this verse talks about. And yeah, also another thing is when to do these practices. That also, in satsang, if you are in that company of those people, they'll teach you that all the bhaja part of it, the 9 things, we don't do all the time. Depending on the time also, the practices are more efficacious or less. When you get up early in the morning, your body is not awake, your senses are not fully awake. That is a great time. When we say Brahma Muhurta for meditation, you are taking the help only of your mind. You are not taking a bath. You are not talking about arranging 40 different things for the puja. You're not thinking about getting your mala somewhere. Just meditation. That is the sattvic energy in us. The clear clarity and energy of clarity is within us. So meditation is perfect early morning. During the day, there's a lot of agitation. Rajasic qualities come out. That is the best time to do actual worship, to use not only your mind, but your chanting and puja, all your body and mind and tongue and everything you use, because you need the support of your body, your mind, and your intellect to actually stay connected to that Govinda. And as the day starts winding down, then it's a good time for chanting, because now you don't again need the body, and you just use your mind and you use your organ of speech. So depending on your time also, these practices have been advised. And if you are in satsang, you will be advised that all the time, don't try to do everything. If you get up at 3 o'clock and try to do a yajna or puja, you're going to be discouraged very quickly. If you try to do meditation in your office at 12 o'clock, you will be discouraged very quickly. So understanding this is the power of satsang is what the Acharya says.